Okay, so welcome to this session 5. We're going to look at playground games and how we can use those to revise language that we've been working on today, but they could be used across any topic. You just have to think outside the box and be a wee bit creative. So lower down the school, my favorite game to play is Duck, Duck, Goose. Bonjour, bonjour, salut.
Yeah, you don't need a literal translation. Yeah, bonjour, bonjour.
Exactly.
That's the vocab you want to introduce. Yeah.
And so the children, if you don't know the game, children are sitting or standing in a circle. And I would definitely play these games in English first. You give each child, you got one person's the caller, they go round, duck, 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 goose. And when you get to goose, they have to try and chase you back to their place. So in French, bonjour, 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 bonjour. Salut! Chase me! And all the children can be in the middle, can be calling, beat, beat, allez, beat, beat. And they can also help by saying the word, bonjour, bonjour. So they could all chant it.
You want everybody to chant it. Yeah, absolutely.
And you could adapt it and look at fruits. Une pomme, une banane, for instance. Okay. Excellent. Children love it. Absolutely love it. Taking that a little step further, quatre coins or four corners. Now, this is a great PE warm-up. It can be played inside or outside. So 4 corners or 4 walls. And in each corner, you have a picture or a word for older learners or an item, exactly. And the teacher will call the word and the children have to move to the right corner. So I would have potentially une banane, une pomme, un citron, et du raisin. And I might say, une banane. And all the children have to try to go as quickly as they can to the right corner.
And I could also shout, I would say they have to shout where they are, otherwise they don't talk. So listening comp, they have to understand une banane, that's your listening comp. And then when they get to the corner with une banane, they just say it, une banane.
Très bien.
And then they can replace the teacher, can't they?
Yeah, exactly. And you can adapt it with older learners. You can say a sentence, j'aime les bananes. So they have to listen to a whole sentence and find that individual word. To make it a bit more fun and make it more like a PE game, you can also ask the children to move in certain ways. So I'd like you to hop to les oranges.
Une banane sur un pied.
Yeah, exactly.
C'est pas mal. Très bien. Pas mal, j'aime bien. I used to play a game as well with slightly older learners, maybe. Again, you'll know it in English, fruit salad. La salade de fruits, salade de fruits. So, faites un cercle, faites un cercle. Once you have your circle, say with 9 learners, you can have 4 circles if you have 36 learners, 9 learners. You give them, each one of them, a name. So, numéro 1, une orange, if we stick to les fruits, une orange, une banane, une pomme. Une orange, une banane, une pomme. Une orange, une banane, une pomme. Une orange, une banane. So 3 times 3. And the 10th child, learner, in the middle, standing there. And he or she is the caller at the start. Une banane, changer de place. And they have to swap places. So une banane, they start running and they go, only the three learners called banane, swap places. But meanwhile, the learner in the middle is trying to get the place of the banana running around. So then somebody new in the middle, les pommes, changer de place. And you have to swap. Salade de fruits. Quite a good game, I think.
And then when you call a salade de fruits.
Exact.
Everybody changes places.
Yeah, salade de fruits. Yeah. Good game. Très bien.
Okay, next up, we're going to look at some traditional French playground games. So we're going to start off with un, deux, trois, soleil, which is great for younger learners. And it's a bit like, if you think of the English game, What's the Time, Mr. Wolf? It's similar, but it's a much more simplified version. So all the children, except for one who's the caller, the children make a line at one end of the hall or outside in the playground. And the caller is out in front, and the caller has their back, le dos, to the other learners. And the children who are here are trying to walk. I don't let mine run. So they have to walk and try to get to the caller. And the idea is to get to the caller first and touch the caller, and then they change places and they become the caller.
Or she can see you walking.
Exactly. So the caller, who's at the front of the group, says, 1, 2, 3. And whilst they're saying that, the other children are walking towards or running, marcher, or courir, if you're happy for them to run. And when the caller says soleil, le soleil, and jumps around and turns around, the other children have to stop, and they have to be les statues. So they have to be still. If they're caught moving, they have to go all the way back to the beginning.
I used to play that.
Now you can change it and vary it. So instead of being 1, 2, 3 soleil, it could be 1, 2, 3 ça va bien. And the children have to show that they understand that. Okay.
So they have to stop and mime the emotion in this case.
Exactly.
I did for video 1, I think it was. 1, 2, 3 ça va bien.
Exactement.
And so it's not only being caught, you don't be caught moving, but also you have to listen carefully and you have to mime the right emotion. Oh, j'aime ça.
So there's a bit of a progression there. You could also say it with fruits. 1, 2, 3 les bananes. And then everybody has to be a banana.
Les animaux. 1,
oui,
2,
les animaux.
3, un éléphant.
Excellent.
Une girafe. Bonne idée.
It's good fun.
The weather. Remember we did the weather.
Oui.
Video 1.
1, 2, 3.
Il pleut.
Il pleut. Ouais.
But don't move, but you can move your fingers.
Ouais, yeah.
Ok, bonne idée. Et c'est un jeu traditionnel, effectivement.
Ouais.
Bonne idée pour 1, 2, 3 soleil. And you said, it reminds you of quelle heure est-il, Monsieur le Loup? What time is it, Mr. Wolf? Excellent. Which I also used to play when I was at school. Quelle heure est-il, Monsieur le Loup? So same principle. Quelle heure est-il, Monsieur le Loup? Il est 2 heures ou 3 heures. It's linked to time. And then you do 3 steps or 2 steps. And you don't want to be caught during that process. Otherwise, you go back to where you started from. But why don't we adapt it as you were saying? So, Monsieur le Loup, des oranges, or whatever you have. Fabulous. So, group of children ask Monsieur le Loup, tu manges des oranges, Monsieur le Loup? Tu manges des oranges, Monsieur le Loup?
Tu manges des oranges, Monsieur le Loup? Oui, je mange 5 oranges.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Répétez. Tu manges des oranges, Monsieur le Loup?
Oui, je mange 8 oranges.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Ah, touché. Très bien.
Okay, so tag games seem to be all the rage at school at the moment. Did you play tag?
Yes,
ever?
of course.
Yeah.
It wasn't called tag in France, but we used to call it la délivrance, because you had to freeze people, the délivrance.
Okay, so it's a bit like that idea of stuck in the mud when you're getting them, rescuing them, as it were. So yeah, you can change any tag game into a game using French. So quite simply, for instance, if somebody gets tagged, they have to say a word in French on a topic that you're doing to be freed. So it might be an individual fruit, like une banane, you know, or they could answer a question. So if you were to tag me, okay, you might ask me a question.
Comment ça va?
Ça va bien?
Libre.
Excellent.
Comment tu t'appelles?
Théa, or je m'appelle Théa.
Libre. Ok, ouais, une bonne interprétation, une bonne adaptation du jeu. Bonne idée. Un dernier jeu de récréation, playground game, un dernier jeu de récréation, ça s'appelle les poissons et les pêcheurs. Les poissons, can you guess?
Fish.
Et les pêcheurs. Boing.
The fishermen.
Exactement, les poissons et les pêcheurs. So, two groups, les poissons on one side, les pêcheurs on the other side. Les pêcheurs have to build a net, so you hold hands, okay? And les poissons will have to swim in and out of the net. So they go under the hands, in the middle of the circle, and out again. Les poissons.
Okay, yeah, through the arches, yeah.
Exactement. Les pêcheurs decide, first of all, when they're going to take the net down, because they start like that. And it works well, for example, if you have consecutive a series, for example, numbers or days of the week. Let's start with days of the week. So let's assume the two of us, Fia, are les pêcheurs. Okay? Lundi, mardi, mercredi. Fia will take the net down at jeudi. When we say jeudi. Okay. C'est bon?
C'est bon.
Les poissons, so we invite them, they come and they start swimming, and the pêcheurs will go lundi, mardi, mercredi, jeudi. And we take the net down, and all the fish caught in the net become the pêcheurs as well. So the net becomes bigger. You have less poissons and more pêcheurs, and so on until there's only one poisson left. Gagné. Pas mal?
Pas mal. You could also change it, I guess, and instead of doing it with consecutive things, you could also do it with, I don't know, words of a song, like J'aime les fruits, for instance, yeah?
Absolutely. So J'aime les fruits, which is a song we've introduced from Alain Lelay. J'aime les fruits, j'aime les bananes. Et les pommes aussi. So maybe the pêcheur would agree, we'll stop when we say les pommes aussi. So everybody dance, everybody sings, j'aime les fruits, j'aime les bananes, j'aime les fruits, et les pommes aussi. Bam! The net goes down a bit like it could be Frère Jacques. Frère Jacques, Frère Jacques. Sonnez les matines, bang! But you have to decide first. The pêcheurs decide when the net should go down. Fun game.
It's a great way to revise vocabulary.
Yeah. So we've introduced quite a few playground games.
Yeah, there's lots there, and they can all be played either outside or inside, like in the gym hall, combined with PE. They can be used to revise language. And get children moving and having some fun.
Exactement, très important.
Ouais. Merci beaucoup. Bonne chance tout le monde. Au revoir. Oh,
Au revoir.
Your task is to try one of these games in this week in your classrooms. Try it in English and then try it in French, and try and adapt whatever topic you're working on to the game, or the game to the topic, and make the two work together.
Excellente idée. Super, merci Fia.
Au revoir.